Meiman. Crossing Kirian, I am the technology master. Introduction. People in Marvel become villains. Kirian binds to the various dark technology systems. As long as you gain reputation through developed technology, you can unlock all black technologies. So at the beginning, he made a big statement. Developed a tyrant and terminator within 6 months. Invented artificial intelligence and developed a space carrier for the solar system in 1 year. 10 years later, when Meiman began his journey of collecting gemstones, Kirian took the suitcase of the nearby Protoss warrior and opened it directly. Here. A box full of gemstones, take a look and choose any color you need. Chapter 1. System and Selection. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Switzerland, Bern. Christmas. In this season where the cold wind is biting, all things hibernate, and even pedestrians have to wear big cotton jackets when going out. On the rooftop of a luxury hotel, a man dressed in punk style with a rugged and slightly hunched figure was already shaky in the cold wind. And if you get closer, you can see the other person's thin face at first glance, which is already frozen with frost at this moment. If it weren't for the constant creaking and clenching of teeth caused by the extreme cold, no one would suspect that the person had already frozen to death. Me. Have you traveled? In no time, as the man opened his eyes again, a piercing gaze appeared in his eyes, and then he looked at his own body as if in disbelief and said. The next second, countless memories flooded into the man's mind. And also due to the integration of a large amount of memories, the man at this moment couldn't help but squat down holding his head due to a headache in his brain. I don't know how long it has been in the past. The man, who had regained his composure once again, slowly stood up. Kirian. The owner of the desperate virus. I never expected that one day, I would also become a member of the Time Traveler group, and I would be the big villain of Time Traveler. As soon as he thought of this, the man couldn't help but think to himself. But since I have come to this world, how can I not witness the scenery at the highest point? After everything was sorted out, the man spoke with an incredibly confident tone, firmly lifting his already bent back due to habit. At this moment, he seemed to see the whole world waving at him. Ding, it has been detected that the host is online, and we are now starting to bind to the Zutianhai technology system. Binding. 1%. 25%. 50%, 100%, ding, the binding is completed. Dear host, Zutianhai technology system is dedicated to serving you. At this moment, a mechanical sound suddenly rang in Kirian's mind, and before he could even react, he began to bind himself. Until the end, the system displayed that the binding was successful, and the entire process only took a blink of an eye, so short that Kirian didn't even react. System. After hearing the words in his mind, Kirian couldn't help but murmur. He thought he had received a template for the crossflow villain, but now he has become a crossflow villain. And it still follows the technological route. Host, just immerse consciousness in the mind. At this point, the system prompts. After hearing the system's words, Kirian closed his eyes and began to empty his mind. Then he appeared in a closed, empty room similar to a main engine room, but the difference was that there was a light curtain appearing in the air, except for Kirian's own figure. Zutianhai Technology System, Host. Aldrizi Kirian, Reputation. 1000, Technology Mall, Level 1. Unlocking, 1000/1000, Technology to be unlocked. None, Unlocked Technology. None, above it, there is a prominent display of information about Kirian's current permissions. What is the reputation of the system? After seeing that he had just obtained the reputation value of 1000 points in the system, Kirian couldn't help but ask. Reputation is the host's ability to spread actual influence values through their own influence in intelligent living beings. The acquisition of reputation values includes but is not limited to the host's own influence dissemination, the use and influence of items manufactured by intelligent organisms through system technology, etc. The system promptly replied to Kirian's question. The meaning is, as long as I can show off like those capitalists, and then promote the company's products for people to use, I can earn reputation. After hearing the system's words, Kirian casually said, "Yes." After receiving a positive response from the system, Kirian immediately became clear in his mind. Then, looking at the display above, Kirian directly clicked on the unlock button behind the technology mall. Following the unlocking of the technology mall, Kirian saw a variety of dazzling technologies emerging from the originally grey mall. From portable lithium batteries, diving oxygen masks, to terminators, exoskeleton armor, viruses, and more. Even genetic maps are available, but currently only some simple organisms such as pythons and gorillas can be seen by Kirian. Just for some unknown reason, everything in the genetic map is exactly the same. UUKangshu.net is particularly expensive, and at the same price, he probably can unlock cutting-edge technology. However, there is currently no demand for these things for Kirian, so he just glanced at them and skipped them. He knew that if it were based on the reputation regulations of the system and his current situation, what he needed now was a simple and high-tech artifact that met the needs of the public. His private investment company, although wealthy, cannot withstand too much consumption. Subsequently, Kirian selected the four most suitable for himself from a pile of technological products. 1. Biochemical Crisis T-Virus, Serum Version. It has the characteristic of strengthening and recombining biological genetic factors, and is a demonic product born with the goal of developing biological weapons. But most organisms will experience strong side effects, such as partial necrosis of the cerebral cortex and severe decline in intelligence under the direct action of the virus. 2. Brain-controlled biochip. It can monitor the discharge activity of various sensory nerve bundles on the carrier, remotely interfere with various nerve cells, obtain human brain sensory information, and control human behavior. 3. Alloy equipment. High-frequency vibration knife. A sword strengthened by strong alternating current and resonating with extremely high vibration frequencies. This oscillation weakens the molecular bonds of anything it cuts, thereby improving its cutting ability, making it easy to tear high-strength alloys apart. 4. Supermarine Core. Da Bai, Junior Edition. Nanny-type intelligent medical inflatable robot, with built-in scanning life index, up to 10,000 medical knowledge reserves, can provide partial medical assistance, and is equipped with 4. Core chip slots, which can be customized according to different needs. P.S. Due to its particularity, certain items in the system that cannot be created in reality will be provided with additional raw materials or finished products in addition to design drawings. Chapter 2. Maya Hansen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All of this only requires an additional payment of some reputation value. The first one is the well-known T-virus. You should know that not only have biological weapons not yet been developed, but also the terrifying transmission power of the T-virus. He believes that even at a sky-high price, the US government can take over the entire situation. After all, no country is more passionate about biological weapons experiments than the United States. Because ultimately their population is sparse, this also leads to a particularly scarce human resources. There is a rule on the battlefield that American soldiers can surrender unconditionally with a 50% mortality rate and without any fault. This also largely reflects the scarcity of the American population. That's why they invest a lot of research in biological weapons, because no matter what else they invest in, ultimately it requires people to operate. And biological weapons, biological viruses, and so on, can all be completed by plundering or direct deployment. As for research and development funds, sorry, the last thing they need is money. Moreover, let alone Kirian, who is well aware of the prospects of the T-virus. The T-virus has spawned creatures such as the Lick Eater, the goddess of revenge, and the tyrant, all of which are qualified biological weapons. Subsequently, the latter may cost tens of millions, but looking at it from a different perspective, as long as you have it, whether it is high temperature or glaciers, it can perfectly complete any task. You are equivalent to having a loyal 007 employee who never stops and is not afraid of death. The only thing that needs to be done is to regularly maintain and upkeep his equipment, and nothing else is needed. Even in the end, he couldn't continue and could easily throw it to an enemy country, unlocking the final form directly. If he couldn't kill the enemy country, he could also be disgusted to death. However, with his current wealth, he can only exchange for this T-virus. If he wants to unlock the existence of liquors, revenge goddesses, and even tyrants again, he needs a sky-high genetic map. In summary, in the system, if anything is the least cost-effective, it is the genetic map, which is priced comparable to the top technology it can unlock at present. And the second one, the brain control chip, to be honest, is indeed a very good thing for him now. After all, in this world, there is no privacy at all. A casual employee could be an undercover agent for the nine-headed snake, the Divine Shield Agency, and even intelligence from various other countries. He may not have such difficulties in his current development, but as the company gradually expands, this brain control chip is definitely his inevitable choice. Once he has this thing, he can completely eliminate the phenomenon of commercial spies or undercover agents. And the third one, the high-frequency vibration knife in the alloy equipment, is both good-looking and handsome. Of course, the most important thing is that Kirian was interested in the energy source technology above, and he was curious about what was supplying it with energy to maintain such high-frequency vibrations. And not to mention the metal material that can resist such frequency vibrations. It can be said that this is definitely a brand new alloy. As long as it is made, its application range will be wide, whether it is military, national defense, or aerospace, it will be very popular. Of course, in fact, what Kirian cares most about is the last one, the medical robot. Da Bai. He has watched the anime, Super Marine Corps, not to mention that it can be upgraded with chips to broaden the service route of the team. It's its own medical scan, which is worth the ticket price. When it comes to what everyone lacks the most, Kirian may not necessarily know, but what everyone needs is this kind of instrument that can detect their physical health in a timely manner. After all, no one in this world wants to get sick. The body scanner equipped by Da Bai itself can be said to be a unique black technology. As long as he chooses this one, it can be said that even if he does not seek cooperation with any company, he can still establish his reputation as a pioneer in technology and even become famous both domestically and internationally. Therefore, compared to the first three, this one is now the most profitable for Kirian. After repeated comparisons, Kirian chose this one directly. In no time, accompanied by Kirian's choice, a large amount of blue data stream suddenly appeared in front of him, merging into Kirian's eyes like a moving train. After the next time he regained consciousness, Kirian covered his already swollen brain. I don't know why, he always feels like the transmission just now has already burned his brain. But to be honest, it's definitely worth it. Looking at the knowledge that appeared out of thin air in his brain, it can be said that from the design concept to the final perfect appearance, all the information and technical research have already been in his brain. However, what he didn't expect was that the amount of work required for production alone was no longer something that Kirian could complete alone. Smart chips, carbon fiber brackets, power motors, hyperspectral cameras, and ethylene resin skins all require a lot of time and effort to do. I don't know if it should be attributed to the technological explosion of the era in which the protagonist of the superpower Marine Corps lived, or what kind of thing. UU reading www.uukangshu.net, a student can research such groundbreaking technology. However, recalling the name of the system's black technology, Kirian couldn't help but understand. After all, if it weren't for black technology, I really wouldn't be eligible to be included in the system. After a long time, feeling the sudden strong cold wind, Kirian finally decided to leave this balcony and return to the company to manufacture the Da Bai first. Subsequently, Kirian took the elevator to the lobby on the first floor of the hotel. Due to the fact that the time is already very early, there are no other people in the hall except for the staff. And Kirian ignored the gaze of others and walked straight out of the hall. He needs to rush back to the company now. Just as Kirian walked out of the hotel gate, he saw an unexpected figure. Maya Hansen, at this moment, is sitting on the roadside with a flower pot planted with green plants in her arms. Looking at the other person's current state from a distance, it feels like a little dog abandoned by its owner. Immediately reviewing the plot, Kirian's mind immediately became clear. This woman originally took advantage of this wealthy New Year's ball to secure funding for her years of research. And yesterday, she also successfully hooked up with Tony Stark. Unfortunately, no matter how much she tried to communicate with Tony Stark, he was just wholeheartedly eating the staple food. I am not interested in these biotech things at all. It can be said that Maya Hansen's sugar-coated shells were completely eaten by Tony inside and out, while the shells were thrown away directly. Chapter 3. Attracting and Returning to China. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And now. The ball has passed, and with Tony Stark leaving without saying goodbye, coupled with the departure of the wealthy, her stay here naturally has no meaning. At this moment, looking at the potted plant in the other person's hand, Kirian couldn't help but feel a hint of thought rising in his heart. To be honest, the desperate virus is indeed quite strong, and if it can be improved in the later stage, it can be a major weapon. It is not an exaggeration to say that the complete body of this thing should be comparable to the T-virus. Although it cannot withstand high-energy shocks, it can be seen from the fact that Kirian formed a desperate force in the later stage. As long as it is developed, the manufacturing cost of this thing will be considerable. So, Kirian decided to go up and fight for it. Hello, Miss Maya Hansen, I didn't expect to meet you so early. After going up, Kirian's voice rang next to Maya Hansen. As if she had not even realized that someone would be so early, Maya Hansen couldn't help but be startled when she heard Kirian's voice. After seeing clearly that the person who came was the investor who left a deep impression on me yesterday, my already dim heart suddenly seemed to become active again. Hello, Mr. Kirian, right. Good morning, sorry, did I lose my composure a bit? After seeing the other person's smile, Maya Hansen thought about the way she had just been in a daze, and immediately said awkwardly after greeting. Of course not, after all, every moment of the lady's life is charming. For Maya Hansen's words, Kirian just smiled slightly. If it were truly charming every moment, that would be great. After hearing Kirian's words, Maya Hansen couldn't help but touch her face and self-deprecatingly said, but after a while, she regained her senses and looked at Kirian in front of her to continue speaking. I won't say that anymore. Let's talk about you. If I remember correctly, you are the CEO of Pioneer Technology. Why did you do it so early? Me. As you know, a pigeon that was raised all night by a big dog owner. And now, with nothing to gain, I'm ready to go straight back. Kirian spread out his hand and said helplessly. Tony Stark. He's just a jerk. For the dog tycoon mentioned by Kirian, Maya Hansen, who went through everything last night, naturally knew, after all, the other person was with him throughout the whole process, so there was no time to find him again. At this moment, looking at the man in front of her, for some reason, Maya Hansen instinctively felt a sense of guilt. After all, if it weren't for constantly pulling Tony to show him his research, Tony might not have broken the promise. And at the thought of the other person leaving without saying a word early in the morning, Maya Hansen couldn't help but speak up. Well, I think our viewpoint on this point is at least highly agreed upon. By the way, as I said, our institution has been paying close attention to your research since your sophomore year. So if you've figured it out, please call the phone number I gave you the business card yesterday, and I'll be waiting for your good news. After seeing a taxi approaching, Kirian finished his last sentence and sat straight on it. As the taxi started, it gradually disappeared into the distance. At this moment, As she watched the man go far away, Maya Hansen couldn't help but take out the business card that she had put in her backpack. The name of AIM Technology CEO Kirian is prominently printed on it. Perhaps this is the choice God gave me. Looking at the business card on it, Maya Hansen murmured. Before this, she thought she could use her beauty to attract investment for her long-term hard work, but the result was chicken flying eggs, waking up early this morning, even giving her a feeling of a world without her place. For a moment, let's just let it go if she wants it. In fact, if she gives up her current research, enjoys life, falls in love with a man, and then we can work and live a simple life together, it's actually a good choice. But at this moment, when she saw Kirian, she realized she was wrong, outrageously wrong. As a scientist, no one is willing to be mediocre. Every scientist dedicated to research, no one does not want to promote their invention and make everyone praise their creations from the bottom of their hearts. At least, she has full confidence in her research. For a moment, Maya Hansen felt as if she had come back to life after a brief low mood, her eyes shining as she looked at the business card in her hand. At this moment, she felt that she was not alone. She forcefully pinched the business card in her hand, and her thoughts were naturally evident in her heart. She just needs a little more preparation before that. UU reading www.uukangshu.net and on the other side. Miami, Florida. After the plane landed, he drove the company's already equipped special car back to his residence. For Kirian now, after getting off the car, he also looked at his residence for the first time. A standard American two-story villa. Although it may not be the same treatment as a few thousand square meter mansion in the later stages, for Kirian, he believes that these are sooner or later issues. After locking the car, Kirian entered the room and simply brewed himself a glass of oatmeal before starting to work on his upcoming plans. Because the materials required for the production of Da Bai needed to be specially ordered and customized, he immediately contacted the person in charge of the company's procurement department and provided the materials needed for the production of Da Bai overnight. For this, an additional handling fee of several $100,000 was spent. However, for him, these are reasonable and necessary expenses. Afterwards, I borrowed a laptop from the house and finally organized my thoughts. Kirian collapsed straight onto the bed and fell into a deep sleep. In a day's time, coupled with the fatigue on the road, Kirian's body was already unable to carry it. Even if it weren't for the remaining rationality still online, he would have wanted to exchange it directly for Alice's exclusive T-virus and get himself a shot. The next day. Accompanied by the morning light. Lisa, are all the materials I need ready? In a building in a startup park in Miami, Jillian, who had just arrived at the office, asked his secretary in front of him. Chapter 4. Stark Architecture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boss, you have almost all the materials you need and are currently in the laboratory. Just. Regarding the lithography machine for making chips, according to your requirements, it will require at least $100 million to purchase. Considering your order demand, I have contacted a company specializing in chip research in the park, and they said that if we need it, we can rent it to us for $100,000 per day, but it must be operated at their premises. Of course, if you insist on purchasing a lithography machine, boss, here is the list of manufacturers' contacts for the lithography machine. I have already contacted you in advance, and as long as the money is in place, you can meet your new love boss at the earliest evening. After hearing the boss's instructions, Lisa at the door immediately twisted her seductive figure and brought the prepared documents into Kirian's office, then spoke up. Well, you did a great job, Lisa. I really like your diligent work style. However, this time I suggest you follow my method and order a high-end lithography machine to be delivered to the laboratory as soon as possible. I need it urgently. Regarding Lisa's proposal in front of him, Kirian naturally didn't think anything was wrong. After all, if he didn't know Da Bai's development prospects, he would definitely choose the other party's second proposal. But since he knows that Da Bai will definitely sell well, the first thing he needs to do is to control the production channels in his own hands. And making chips on someone else's site, he doesn't know what others will do, but if it were Kirian himself, he would definitely try to set up surveillance nearby and copy the production data. No matter whether it is useful or not, the data is not big, even if it is stored in the hard drive to eat dust, it doesn't matter. But as long as he encounters someone with potential, even if it's for decades, it's enough for him to eat for a long time. So, while maintaining a cautious principle, Kirian can spend more money now and also take precautions against potential dangers. Okay, boss, is there anything else I need to tell you? After hearing Kirian reject her proposal and give her affirmation, Lisa, who was initially sad and then slightly happy, casually spoke to Kirian. There's nothing else left. I'll be staying in the laboratory for a while now, don't let anyone disturb me. Just put 3 meals a day in the isolation room, I will go and get them. Oh, by the way, I want to build a technology building and an underground research institute in the suburbs. In your spare time, remember to help me keep an eye out for any design companies that are satisfied. After hearing Lisa's words, Kirian thought for a moment and then said, building a building. But boss, our building here hasn't been renewed for long, and it shouldn't need to be built either, right? After hearing Kirian's words, Lisa blinked her big eyes and looked at Kirian incredulously, asking. Believe me, Lisa, in a few months, we will face earth-shattering changes, and what I need to do now is to plan for my future before that. By the way, for the future buildings, I need at least a few hundred employees, and ordinary technology buildings cannot meet my needs. Regarding Lisa's question, Kirian sorted out his suit, stood up, and looked out at the newly rising sun, saying word by word with determination. If that's the case, then I suggest we go directly to Stark Construction Company. In the industry, their building standards are definitely the best. Looking at the way Kirian spoke, Lisa couldn't help but momentarily froze for a moment. However, she quickly recovered and then spoke up with advice. Let's find it. After hearing Lisa's words, Kirian was speechless for a moment. He didn't expect the famous Stark Arms Group, which specializes in various high-precision and cutting-edge fields such as military industry, artificial intelligence, aerospace, etc., to also develop in the field of architecture. Okay, I will immediately notify the R&D department to cooperate. After nodding, Lisa immediately prepared to walk towards the door. Looking at the respectful blonde secretary who closed the door and left in front of her, Kirian couldn't help but have a high degree of recognition for her previous taste. Although this secretary has her own careful thinking, no matter what she is asked to do, even with doubts, she always carries it through to the end. And for a manager, this is the person they love the most. After all, no one likes a subordinate who always asks the other person to do something thoroughly. Afterwards, after tidying up his attire, Kirian walked towards the laboratory. In no time, Kirian arrived at the underground laboratory. Because it was originally a startup park, and their pioneering technology is also a pharmaceutical development company, reading www.uukeungshu.net, they were assigned to the medical park. The laboratory here is also located underground and comes with strict confidentiality restrictions. It can be said that Kirian no longer needs to establish specialized facilities like beehives to study the T-virus. He can fully devote himself to studying the T-virus without worrying about leakage. Of course. Except for the tyrant experiment. If it's a liquor, looking at the high-strength bulletproof glass made of composite materials in front of him, which is 20 centimeters thick, Kirian also has full confidence. After all, the official promotion is that this thing can withstand rockets hard. Although Kirian doesn't know why a medical park needs to have such high-strength bulletproof glass. But after all, it involves the medical profession. In the laboratory, occasionally exploding ignition rockets is also a normal operation. And it is also for this reason that Kirian knew that his company would eventually involve various fields, which is why he chose this place as his company's development site. Of course, besides that, rent is also the most expensive. Not long after, accompanied by a researcher wearing a white coat who had gone through layers of isolation gates, a few people finally arrived at the designated experimental area. And Kirian, on the other hand, had already turned his back to the others and started writing on the experimental table on his own. Just looking at the monograph of Kirian, although everyone had already arrived, everyone naturally stood still and waited. "You guys are here. I'm sorry, I was just writing something and I'm addicted." After a long time, finally writing down the steps that Da Bai needed to make, Kirian couldn't help but smile as he looked at the crowd not far away who didn't consciously approach him. Chapter 5. Paintings before research. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's okay, boss. We've been resting for so long now, and it's okay to wait for a while. You should work on our project quickly, otherwise I'm afraid we won't be able to repay the bank loan next month. After seeing the boss's relaxed expression, one of the more experienced researchers among the crowd followed suit and joked. You should know that although they are on a monthly salary system, this is just a dead-end salary, and the real boss still needs to be on the project. For a long time before this, they only received some small projects, and even in the final few months, they did not receive any projects. And this time, looking at the boss's expression, they naturally believed that this project was definitely extraordinary. Don't worry, everyone. This time I have a heavyweight project in my hands. What I can promise is that as long as it is successfully completed, everyone's year-end bonus will definitely be an unimaginable number, and monthly salary will not be a problem to double. Looking at the researchers in front of him, although none of them were cutting-edge experts in the industry, each one was collected by him with a high salary, so Kirian was also very clear about them, and even if he didn't want money, he casually said to everyone. Sure enough. After hearing Kirian's words, everyone was immediately shocked by Kirian's words, followed by immense excitement. At this moment, everyone seemed to have seen before long, holding a bunch of money, beautiful women, luxury cars, and mansions, as if everyone was waving at them. Pop pop pop. However, before everyone could imagine it anymore, they were brought back to reality by Kirian's applause. Here is the direction that everyone will be responsible for, and now each team is responsible for their own affairs according to the team. Roman Burr from Group A, you lead your team and are mainly responsible for the production of ethylene resin skins. We need to ensure both its high elasticity and stretchability, as well as its puncture prevention safety. Above is the design draft of this thing, and the final product. I will treat it as a material similar to a balloon. But it also needs to be popularized in the public's daily life, so in this regard, you must be careful and responsible, understand? Looking at the senior A group leading researcher in front of him, Kirian said earnestly. To be honest, this is the most important part of the steps that make up the big white, besides the chip he is responsible for. You should know that regardless of which country you are in, security issues are extremely important, and the United States is the most important. It can be said that as long as your product has problems, even if a child is injured, you will face endless legal litigation and compensation. Don't worry, boss, there's absolutely no problem with me here. After seeing the materials submitted by the boss, although there were no extremely complex processes, safety issues were equally important for them as developers. Therefore, Roman Burr only took a rough look and assured Kirian. After handing over the external materials of Da Bai to the more experienced A group in the company, looking at the R, D, B and C groups beside him, Kirian also handed over a manuscript he had written to his team leader. There are 3 groups A, B, and C in total, responsible for the ethylene resin outer skin, carbon fiber bracket, and power motor. And the hyperspectral camera and intelligent chip are mainly responsible by Kirian himself. Now he doesn't have a brain control chip, although these people have been with him for a long time, they can basically rule out suspicion of spies. But he is not someone who puts his own life and fortune in the hands of others. Alright, now everyone has their own tasks, and I have only one requirement for you, which is to complete them with quality, quantity, and efficiency. I can say that your completion speed is inversely proportional to the thickness of your bonus. The faster you complete, the thicker the bonus. Alright, let's get busy now. After finishing drawing the pancakes for everyone, Kirian waved his hand and walked straight out. The area he is responsible for has been placed at the innermost level by someone he has assigned. We are preparing to start researching the final core of Da Bai. Pseudo-artificial intelligence chips and hyperspectral cameras that can scan the human body. Because the materials were already prepared, Kirian began his research on hyperspectral cameras after entering the laboratory. And no one would have thought that in the new year, in a laboratory, a medical robot that has opened up a new era of the future is about to emerge. In the blink of an eye, a month passed quietly, and unconsciously, the entire United States had entered a New Year's carnival. At this moment, everyone is at home enjoying the warmth of family and the intimate reunion of family members. And in the startup park in Miami. But there is such a different company, the whole building is brightly lit, and everyone is busy with their own affairs. It seems that all the noise from the outside world has nothing to do with this place. In the underground laboratory located below the building, a group of researchers wearing white coats are closely observing the red-dominated metal storage box located not far from the center of the laboratory. And in the main control room next to it, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, Kirian was also focused on reading inside. Boss, the device calibration is complete and the program is stable. Voltage stability. The main control panel is functioning properly. Accompanied by several researchers in the laboratory, they were solemnly conveying the calibration content they were responsible for and the normal situation. The device is starting. At this moment, Kirian, upon hearing the words of a few people, immediately said with a calm expression. Pia. As soon as Kirian finished speaking, the programmers responsible for operating inside immediately began to power on, transmit data, and start the program. With the official approval of one license after another. The red metal storage box in the middle of the laboratory suddenly began to open automatically. Then, a nearly deflated balloon began to expand at a visible speed to the naked eye. In just a few seconds, a round and chubby figure appeared in everyone's eyes. Then, in the eyes of everyone's surprise, after a slight observation for 4 weeks, he walked out of the suitcase under his feet and stepped on the floor of the laboratory for the first time. Hello, could you please introduce yourself? At this moment, Kirian's voice echoed inside the laboratory. Hello, boss, I'm Da Bai. A private health consultant developed by AIM technology. I noticed a sharp wound on your body. May I provide medical care for you? After hearing Kirian's voice, Da Bai, who was identified by the voice line, immediately spoke up. However, after seeing Kirian walking in with an injured arm, he couldn't help but try to speak again. Chapter 6. The Birth of Da Bai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Next, I will perform a medical scan on you to ensure there are no additional injuries. Now I will scan you. Then, accompanied by the words of Da Bai, he looked up and down at Kirian for a few seconds before ending, scanning is complete. You have a slight wound on your right arm. It is recommended to use disinfection spray and then stick a band-aid. Next, I will perform wound treatment for you. There may be some pain. Do you need to play comfortable music or stimulating movies to divert your attention? That's not necessary, let's start treating directly. For Da Bai's recommendation, Kirian directly rejected it. He had already tried this feature at the beginning of the design, and he set up these conversations on point 1. He even spent tens of millions on it and bought a huge database online to feed it. It can be said that the birth of no artificial intelligence does not require a massive database to feed. And this time, he just wanted to personally experience the care of Da Bai, so he made a cut for himself. But for now, he doesn't regret this knife, it's worth it. This is Kirian's greatest feeling. Later, under the cooperation of Kirian's outstretched arm, the left hand of Big White gently took Kirian's arm and put it on his soft palm, then put the index finger of his right hand on the top of the wound, and then sprayed a light red disinfection spray on the wound, after taking care of every corner evenly. On Da Bai's right hand, a small bandage appeared again, carefully opening it and covering Kirian's wound. In no time, Da Bai's treatment was completed. You performed very well. To reward your bravery, I'll give you a lollipop. Looking at Kirian in front of him, Da Bai spoke in a gentle tone before taking out a lollipop from his hand and handing it out. Nice, I really like this. After taking the lollipop, Kirian opened it directly and sucked it in his mouth. If you are satisfied with my service, please give me a positive review, otherwise I will not be able to return to my hibernation chamber to rest. After seeing Kirian take over his final service in front of him, Da Bai immediately spoke up. Of course, I am very satisfied with your performance. Looking at Da Bai, who looked extremely cute and naive in front of him, Kirian's originally calm face couldn't help but burst into a happy smile. After hearing Kirian's words, Da Bai turned around straight and returned to his hibernation chamber. As it gradually shrank, the round white finally successfully returned to the red suitcase. And all the staff here at this moment, as if for Kirian's evaluation and as if for Da Bai's performance, everyone couldn't help but cheer happily. Hugs, revelry, tears of joy, and various excitement measures appear on everyone's body. At this moment, they seemed like the candidates who had been preparing for many years. Finally, on the final successful sprint, they were admitted to the dream school and realized their dreams. And watching this scene, Kirian couldn't help but laugh. Everyone here today has a bonus of $100,000 per person, and the year-end bonus is also included. This is the Chinese New Year red envelope I am giving to everyone. Happy New Year! As if to reignite the atmosphere, Kirian, who was currently in the laboratory, raised his hands high and loudly spoke to everyone. Wow! Yi! The laboratory, which was already bustling for a while, once again boiled up. Everyone jumped up with an incredibly happy mood and embraced by the people around them. Afterwards, after Kirian had someone put the tin box containing large white into the safe, he shook his slightly dizzy head, looked at the time, and walked out. As if by chance, just as everyone walked out of the laboratory and arrived at the company gate, the sky was filled with fireworks, illuminating the entire night sky. It's like a perfect salute for the successful conclusion of the project. However, after half a month of hard work day and night, everyone watched for a while and then went home separately. And Kirian, after half a month, returned to his home for the second time. For the past 2 months, Kirian has been staying in the research room every day and only slept 4 or 5 hours a day. Long-term fatigue has made him lose a lot of weight. After making a simple meal for himself, Kirian fell into bed and fell asleep. The next day when Kirian woke up again, it was already the afternoon of the next day, and the weather was still sunny. After a simple breakfast, Kirian arrived at the swimming pool. Due to its subtropical location, even in winter, the temperature in Miami is around 17 or 18 degrees Celsius. For bodies that already lack exercise and suffer from malnutrition, swimming is his best choice now. UU reading www.uukangshu.net. I don't know how long it has been like this. At this moment, Kirian is leaning his upper body against the steps of the swimming pool, while his whole body is closed in thought. Zutianhai Technology System, Host. Aldrizi Kirian, Reputation. 726, Technology Mall. Level 1, 1000/10,000, Technology Unlock Progress. None, Unlocked Technology. Supermarine Team White, Beginner Edition, 100% completion. Now he has completed the research and development of Da Bai. Although his reputation has not yet been credited, he has to put the next steps on the agenda in advance. After all, he knows very well that the world he lives in now is not the blue star of the past, but the dangerous Marvel universe. The later Insight Plan, Ouchwang, Dark Elves, Annihilators, and even the heavenly god clan contained in the earth itself are not something he can solve with his small arms and legs now. Not to mention the strange people on the moon, the scurrilous people on earth who have caused the collapse of the earth, and so on, who are restless villains. If he doesn't take advantage of the only available time to develop himself, then in the future when various disasters hit the earth, he will have to wait for death. For now, he is still focusing his attention on the T-virus and the Terminator. The advantage of T-virus lies in its practicality, whether it is used as a biological weapon or as a drug, it has a great effect. In the movie, Marcus invented the T-virus, which can not only be used to save his daughter's premature aging, but also to treat thousands of diseases. Chapter 7. T-virus and invitation letter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After learning about the effects of the T-virus, Marcus thought he had opened a new chapter in humanity that could keep people away from disease and aging. But because during this process, being too eager for quick success and instant benefits resulted in the appearance of zombies as a side effect. And for these reasons, Marcus was prepared to call a halt to this project, but he ignored the greed of human nature. His collaborators wouldn't give up huge benefits just for a small mistake, so the usurpation began. His partner Isaac successfully overthrew Marcus and rose to power himself. For him, the birth of a special effect drug is far from being as cost-effective as its military application. Not to mention the research and development of drug efficacy, why cure all diseases? So what will they rely on for their livelihood in the future? He can distinguish between saturated and full meals. So, after that was the era when the T-virus was used as a biological weapon. Zombies, hellhounds, lickers, vengeful goddesses, and even tyrants are all constantly developed based on this. However, for a long time afterwards, the umbrella focused on developing biological weapon extensions for the T-virus, while ignoring its inherent ability to revive cells from death. So in the movie, Edward Ashford, who had developed the T-virus with Marcus, also known as the wheelchair doctor in the second part of the movie, started doing his own small actions for his paralyzed daughter and himself. He wanted to develop the recovery capability of T-virus again, so in the following time, he succeeded. Through the specially developed improved version of T-virus serum, my daughter was able to stand up again. And this is the ability of the T-virus. Whether it is developing weapons or medicine, it is omnipotent. So the T-virus has always been at the top of Kirian's candidate list. And the Terminator afterwards is also a sharp blade. Whether it's the Terminator T-600, T-850 inside, these are all first-class war weapons. Each device can be equipped with offline intelligent operation without any signal. Although its intelligence level is not high, if you move in areas without signals, it means that the surrounding area is full of hostile forces. So the signal's effect is not significant. And Kirian is also particularly envious of the Skynet in Terminator, which is a tangible artificial intelligence. This has a high level of self-awareness and can already be considered a wise life, forming its own race of existence. It can be said that if a civilization has pseudo-artificial intelligence, they will usher in an era of rapid development in the entire industry. In the early stages of Marvel, Tony was able to announce in front of media around the world that his technology was at least 20 years ahead of the world, which was also the reason. Due to the existence of artificial intelligence like Jarvis, he can provide only one direction and then have Jarvis perform data simulation to calculate a successful path for him on thousands of incorrect paths. And he only needs to point out the direction at critical moments, even if sometimes he cooperates and points the range smaller, then the speed will be faster. That's why Tony started developing battle armor in 2008, and then in 2017, he used 50 Malawian Kwacha's nano battle armor to team up and fight against Meiman. In less than a decade, he brought about rapid changes in his battle armor. The technological leap from primitive cave armor to nanoscale armor that can traverse the universe can be said to be extremely terrifying. And the vast majority of the credit will ultimately be attributed to Jarvis. It can be said that if Kirian had Skynet, he would experience extremely rapid development in technology research and development in the future. It is not a dream to rule the Earth for 3 years, the Milky Way for 5 years, and the universe for 10 years. The only problem is that the Terminator does not yet have the conditions to be born in this world. A high-tech that is coveted by all countries and possesses futuristic elements, if we cannot guarantee that everyone will receive it. So what he can imagine is that the blow to greet himself is absolutely like a storm. And if the Terminator wants to pose a threat, it must be established. In that case, the requirements for signal transmission are very strict. Unless he can fill the entire Earth with his own satellites, form a star chain, and establish a full signal network like Musk. Then create the artificial intelligence Skynet and let it be controlled. Otherwise, it will ultimately be immature, and the technology tree requirements of the Terminator world are still too high. He has just started and still can't master it. Moreover, as of now, the Terminator cannot help him overturn the situation. Apart from allowing him to receive a huge military budget from the US government and be feared by other countries and foreign forces, there is no benefit. So after convincing himself, Kirian turned his attention to the T-virus. After making a decision, Kirian opened his eyes again and immediately jumped up to the ground. After a simple wipe of his body, he began to enter his study. After turning on the computer, he began to write his plans for the next step. For him, time is urgent. At the same time, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net is accompanied by the passage of time. One invitation letter after another was sent to every media outlet in a new entrepreneurial park in Miami. A groundbreaking technology, the emergence of medical robots, your exclusive personal health consultant. Oh, the forest is really big now. I dare to send any garbage invitations over. In the office building of the New York Times, an editor looked at the e-mail delivered to him by his assistant. After reading it, the whole person disdained to throw it into the garbage can beside him, and then roast while saying, "But boss, I see in their invitation letter that they have a nose and eyes, and I have also checked that company, and they do have the strength. Why not take a look?" After seeing his boss discard the invitation letter he thought was a surprise, the assistant beside him couldn't help but cautiously say, "Hee, young people, the more this kind of propaganda that sounds like it's true, the more we need to be vigilant. We are the most influential newspaper in the United States, and our focus should be on those people and businesses who truly do practical things for our city. If I believe these things, last week I had 3 people claiming to have aliens at home, 2 were kidnapped by aliens at home, and last week someone insisted that their parents had been replaced by aliens. Then someone said they saw an angel. Oh my God, in short, young man, you're still young and the road ahead is still long. Don't be too naive. Alright, prepare your equipment and come with me to interview our famous New York philanthropist, Mr. Fisk." After sharing his own experience, the editor took a photo of the assistant in front of him and then walked out. Chapter 8. Invitation Letter and Reactions from Various Circles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Similar experiences also occur in many other news media. Of course, the main reason is that in this city, which gathers many elites and billionaires from all over the world, there are too many people who use the so-called future robots sign to deceive promotion and investment, just like a Crucian carp crossing the river. And in the end, these were even exposed by people, and afterwards, not only investors but also the media were all ridiculed by the public. So for this situation, people have become numb. However, there are also special cases. On the other side, there is a Horn Daily building located on 39th Street 2nd Avenue in New York City. As J. Jonah Jameson, who is committed to making the Horn Daily the #1 news media in the United States. Looking at the newspaper that has been struggling to make ends meet for several consecutive months due to the lack of any news that can be obtained. Worried, I smoked one cigar after another, and the entire office was surrounded by thick white mist. And not only that, on his desk were news materials that the editors had collected one after another, claiming to be popular. But everyone saw his blood pressure rising high, and if it weren't for just taking the antihypertensive medication, he seriously suspected that he had already appeared in the ICU's emergency room at this moment, rather than being angry at a bunch of useless photos of mental disabilities. Damn it, for God's sake, I really want to stuff you idiots back in their original state and remake them in the furnace. Even a 3-year-old kid would not write these things like you, drinking water is tasteless. One by one, they were all pork chops with celery and not even a fart. At this moment, Jameson was cursing while still trying to flip through the materials collected by his subordinates, but it was obvious that he overestimated their professional level. After throwing everything away, there was still no news that satisfied him. Until the next second, he saw a letter from Miami sealed next to the table. Strange, I don't remember having friends over there. After murmuring a sentence, with doubts in his heart, Jameson finally opened the letter, and inside it, he took out the letter with a photo printed in white and a detailed introduction. The groundbreaking technology, the emergence of medical robots, and your exclusive personal health consultant. We will take you through a new chapter in the future world together. It's a bit interesting. After opening it, looking at the invitation letter and its text above, Jameson, who was already energized and seemed to be about to thunder, felt as if he had seen an iceberg beauty, and in an instant, it turned from dark to clear. Banreal. Move your damn butt off your seat immediately and come to my office. After opening the door, Jameson roared at the middle-aged man with glasses who was playing with a female intern in the nearby seat. For him, during his working hours, every minute of rest is stealing his money, let alone publicly picking up girls. This month, we must deduct his full attendance. This is what James said from the bottom of his heart. Immediately, he angrily closed the door. Hello boss, what can I do for you? After entering the door, Banreal said with a humble expression to Jameson, who was leaning his legs over his desk. Take this and report it immediately. Placed in the position of the second edition, the entire text revolves around the title, which roughly means shocking. Is the birth of robots a blessing for humanity or an apocalypse? Then the key point is that robots may rebel and rule over humans, and you can make up the rest yourself. After handing over the invitation letter he received to the other party, Jameson immediately continued. What? But boss, he didn't say that on this. After hearing his boss's words, Banreal took the invitation letter and looked left and right. He looked several times but didn't see any difference between this thing and science fiction robots or immortality. Then he asked with a puzzled expression. Can you tell me again that he didn't say it? Are your quail egg-sized eyes cute? Did he mention the robot? Did he mention the birth of robots and medical treatment? Is that possible to be the gospel? Yes. Have you ever seen the Terminator? This. Faced with the boss's aggressive words, Banreal couldn't help but bow and nod in sweat at this moment. Who made him face one of the most exploitative vampires in New York? Is it possible for rebellion, or is it possible that it will be the end of humanity? You tell me, this simple and easy to understand truth is right here. Is there anything else you don't understand that you insist on me leading you like a kindergarten teacher, explaining word by word to you? Looking at the subordinates in front of him who have been following him for so long, but have not even been influenced by 1,000th of his IQ, Jameson said with resentment. I understand. Thank you for the boss's guidance. I'll go get it done right away. After hearing that Jameson was about to go berserk, Banreal respectfully finished speaking and immediately turned around and ran out as if fleeing towards the outside. Hey! Young people nowadays are not at all like me back then, making leaders worry-free. But this thing is quite interesting, is it on Saturday? I need to go take a look. After Banreal walked out, Jameson, who had calmed down again, couldn't help but murmur as he looked at the invitation letter in front of him. For him, if a newspaper wants to stand out, it must always have an eye that can detect explosive points. And now he feels that this thing is likely to be the explosive point. Of course, it's just possible. Forgive him, it's really not possible to connect a humanoid balloon with a so-called metal robot. Because of the influence of Terminator and other similar robot movies, people now believe that robots will only be metal skeleton robots, or at most, robots that are identical to people. And this kind of balloon robot, forgive their insight, really doesn't have that brain hole. Saturday night. Times Square, New York. As the core economic center of the United States, New York is a world-class metropolis with a population of 8 million. Every day, tens of thousands of dream chasers enter this city with endless opportunities with ideals and interests, striving to create their own legendary life. And at night, this is even more so here. Chapter 9. Product Launch. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. At night, New York is a world that coexists like heaven and hell. Rich people spend their nights singing and indulging in luxury, while working people gather in a few square meters of cramped houses, hoping for the dawn of life. This is a city where opportunities and crises coexist, like a torrent of hidden treasures. Everyone travels alone in a wooden boat, hoping to win the buried treasure. However, if they make a mistake, the boat will be destroyed and people will die as a holy land for brand communication around the world. Times Square in New York is known as the crossroads of the world. It is the darling of this city, where 350,000 people pass by and stop every day. It is the busiest square commercial district in the world and is considered one of the best windows to attract global attention. Under these conditions, it is undeniable that every brand that can land on Times Square here will undoubtedly gain huge exposure. In just 1 week, Pioneer Technology's press conference in New York only welcomed less than 20 journalists who came to attend. And many of them are journalists from small and medium-sized newspapers, and even there are not many medium-sized newspapers. And the well-known news agencies didn't even take a glance. It's obvious that those people basically treated their press conference as a circus clown's performance. But if someone comes, it's already enough for Kirian. And in the New York era, there was not a shortage of promoters here. At this moment, his eyes were extremely excited because this time it would represent the official start of his journey in the Marvel Universe. What Kirian couldn't imagine was that although the journalists invited to the news media did not arrive, they had already had their assistants or interns come to privately and continue to monitor this so-called product launch event. After all, everything advertised is just 2SCI.fi. If they were really invited over and this is a fictitious event, as a leading news company, they really can't afford to lose face. But although many people think it's just a promotional gimmick, if it's done privately, it doesn't have any impact. After all, assistants can also take some photos of the news media on site, so that they can write the next day. The intelligence of a certain media reporter is worrying, and even April Fool's Day jokes can be taken seriously. On the other hand, as the on-site lights lit up, Kirian walked up the high platform wearing his own gray-white suit. In front of him, the rows of seats were filled with more than 20 news media reporters from various states. Of course, if he performs well, there will also be tens or even hundreds of thousands of people on site staring at him under the spotlight through the screen. Hello everyone, my name is Kirian, the founder of Pioneer Technology. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the elite media from major newspapers and the tens of thousands of viewers who were invited to the event. Thank you very much for attending our company's press conference. Of course, I can assure you that you will never regret today's choice. Looking at the hundreds of people in front of him, as well as the people coming and going outside, there were tens of thousands of people stopping at the square from time to time to look at him on the big screen. At this moment, Kirian felt an immense sense of glory, a sense of selflessness towards others, and the momentum of the world in my hands constantly gathered in his heart. As Kirian's words fell, the seats at the scene burst into laughter. As for how much of it is laughter and how much is ridicule, it is unknown. For Kirian, these were all irrelevant. He stared at everyone ahead without hesitation, then kept a smile and spoke up, my original plan for this press conference was to divide it into two parts. The first part is to introduce our company and its founding philosophy. The second part is about introducing and demonstrating the product. But I took a look and most of the people here are young people, perhaps just like me. They are all impatient and not interested in those things that are often vague and elusive in old life. Coincidentally, I too, so I decided to start introducing our product directly. This time, the protagonist will also be everyone's personal health consultant in the future. A medical service robot named Da Bai. As Kirian's words fell, the light that had originally been shining on Kirian disappeared and then focused on the red and white suitcase in front of him that everyone thought was luggage. And it was this beam of light that made everyone pay attention to this box. For a moment, whispers could be heard incessantly on site. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I always feel like this suitcase will surprise me. This is impossible, isn't it? That's a robot. Even medical robots can't be made now, can they? Medical robots, is it really? God bless us. The era of the technological explosion has arrived. These are not important, I only know that this founder is really handsome. Then, as he watched the suddenly noisy scene, reading www.uukangshu.net, Kirian had no intention of controlling it. But in the eyes of everyone, he took out a small knife from his arms and then cut a small hole in his own arm. So, the scene once again reproduced the incredible expressions of everyone in the laboratory before. As the red and white suitcase unfolded, everyone realized that the suitcase was all red, and the so-called white was the real protagonist of this event. And as previously tested, Da Bai also completed a wave of bandages on Kirian in front of everyone's surprised eyes. Sir, if you are satisfied with my service, please give me a good review so that I can rest again. After completing the operation, Da Bai politely said to Kirian in his cute and friendly words. Sorry, Da Bai, this time it may take a little longer. Our audience friends are still watching you. For Da Bai's words, Kirian smiled and spoke, gesturing to look at the people below who were already stunned. Hello everyone. I am a private medical consultant named Da Bai. After hearing Kirian's words, Da Bai also looked down. After seeing everyone, Da Bai took his chubby steps and walked 2 steps forward before speaking. Sleeping slot. Impossible. False, absolutely false, there must be someone inside. In an instant, incredulous voices stirred up another wave of excitement in the atmosphere of the scene. Some journalists, who were originally secretly watching below because they were not invited before, suddenly stood up and spoke. Chapter 10. Da Bai's personal show. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, for their questioning voices, the people present did not pay attention to them, because everyone's gaze shifted to Da Bai, unable to move away for even a second. Alright, my friends, I know that maybe the medical robot incident has shocked everyone a bit, and it's also a bit unbelievable. But isn't that exactly the purpose of our press conference today? It's just to allow everyone to experience it firsthand and interact with our intelligent private health consultant, Da Bai, up close and more intuitively. Alright, please calm down and don't get excited. Next, I will select one by one among those who are willing to come up and experience it through on-site roll call. Watching almost everyone in the entire Times Square stop in place because of Da Bai, Kirian picked up the microphone in his hand and continued to smile at the crowd. Next, please invite the beautiful journalist from the first and second rows to come up. You can think of your own questions and have a conversation with our Bai, both of which are acceptable. Of course, I would like to reiterate that Bai is currently only a medical and health consultant, not a real person, so remember not to be too biased when asking questions. After Kirian finished speaking, he brought the journalist who had just been pointed out to Da Bai. Hello, sorry, I may be a bit excited. I really didn't expect to see the legendary robot this time. Can I really touch him? At this moment, the beautiful journalist who was targeted felt as if she had suddenly won $1 million prize. She was all in a daze and didn't even know how she got to the stage. After realizing this, she asked Kirian with a flushed and excited expression on her face. For the question from the beautiful journalist, Kirian did not answer, but tilted his head and gestured to Bai. As expected, after seeing about Kirian's situation, the beautiful journalist immediately turned her gaze to Da Bai. Of course, I have detected that you are currently experiencing significant emotional fluctuations, madam. A warm hug will be a great solution to your troubles. May I hold you, please? At this moment, seeing the boss's signal and the lady walking towards him, Da Bai also tilted his head and opened his arms, saying, "Wow! He must be a lascivious robot." Accompanied by the words of Da Bai, similar teasing and coaxing immediately permeated the entire square. After all, it's a robot, and it looks like a male robot. Speaking to a female journalist like this, anyone would doubt if there's something bad in the developer's mind. But this was just a joke, it passed quickly. And the female journalist only nodded in agreement after blushing. Immediately, the female journalist felt a soft cotton candy, warm like the rising sun, and still smelled a faint fragrance, as if she had returned to being held by her mother when she was a child. In an instant, she felt like she had never before relaxed, completely forgetting everything about tasks, jobs, and boyfriends. Now she just wants to enjoy her own beautiful moments. And the journalist's scene was perfectly portrayed by the nearby camera, and many people present couldn't help but calm down as they watched the other person's expression change. It's as if afraid that a little noise might disturb the other person. I have detected that you have completely recovered. Do I need to release you? After a long time, Da Bai, holding the beautiful journalist in front of him, spoke kindly. Ah! Wow, your body is really warm. I have never encountered skin like you before. Can you tell me what material it is? If my bed were made like this, I wouldn't be losing sleep anymore. Accompanied by Da Bai's reminder, the beautiful journalist who finally woke up from her comfortable embrace reluctantly released her. After taking a step back, she looked at Da Bai's silly expression and reminisced about his soft touch just now. The journalist curiously pointed her finger at Da Bai's belly and asked. My outer skin material is made of ethylene resin, which is safe, non-toxic, and harmless. It has passed strict standards. As for the production process, I do not have the authority to inquire. Sorry, I cannot inform you. As a gesture of apology and as a reward for what you just received, this is a strawberry-flavored lollipop. May you always be sweet. For the reporter's question in front of him, Da Bai honestly explained and then took out a pink lollipop from his hand and handed it to the other party. Wow, thank you. You're so considerate. If you were real, I would definitely consider you as my boyfriend. Watching the robot in front of her even send out lollipops to comfort people, the beautiful journalist at this moment was truly shocked. She had never thought that the robot could perform so well in terms of humanization. Even before the lollipop she received could be tasted, she felt as if she had already felt the sweetness. According to my database, boyfriend is a human male friend, usually referred to between couples, in a state before entering marriage. Often used to describe a man or woman who is in a romantic relationship, when one woman recognizes the other man as in a romantic relationship and expresses her position using the term boyfriend. It's a pity that I'm just a robot, but thank you for your recognition. I'm happy and I wish you all the best in finding your own boyfriend soon. For the female journalist's words, Da Bai tilted his head, as if he had been stunned for a while, and then answered with a smile on his face. Thank you, I'm glad to see you today. I'm looking forward to meeting you again in the future. After hearing Da Bai's words, the female journalist couldn't help but laugh, then bid farewell and returned to her seat. At this moment, there is an interaction between the reporters on stage and the white-collar audience. Anyone with discerning eyes can see that this press conference is about to cause an immense sensation. At this moment, the journalists who had not come before or had not brought their interview equipment were so anxious that they started calling one after another. Hurry up, grab the interview equipment and come straight over. What? In traffic jam, wouldn't you know how to use the pilot helicopter in the station to fly over? Do you still need me to teach you this? I warn you, if you come slower, I promise I will definitely stuff your head into your asterisk. Child, sell me your camera and I'll pay. What? $500. Why don't you go grab it? Alright, you win, give it to me. Hand in the paper. $100, you win, you damn little vampire. As the interview proceeded, every private journalist present at this moment seemed to have full confidence when calling the newspaper again, openly and sternly saying, but at this moment, Times Square was already crowded with tens of thousands of people,